Right. Hello, Ryan. How we
How's
getting
things,
on?
Jared? How is things, Deacon? How are we keeping?
Yeah, good, good, good. I just kind of want to run through with you today, obviously your journey and stuff, how you've been finding everything. Um, but yeah, obviously we do know each other personally. We've obviously met in person and stuff, but obviously for the people watching, I think they just want to understand where you're from, your experience, what were your thoughts coming into it and all of that. So basically just starting off, man, you know, what were you actually doing before you got into the high ticket sales side of things, before you actually got into the online space in general?
Yeah, so I was manual labor. So pretty much like from I was like in school, 13 years old, I went out on the site with my granddad at the weekend. So I was always sort of just doing like construction work, just laboring, trying to make like a little bit of money. I was only on like £20 a day. So that's pretty much like what I started off with. And then obviously my entire family was in the trades. So I left school at fifth year and then went straight into a joinery apprenticeship. Did a little bit of site work, loved the site work. I actually didn't mind it. It was good fun. It was good crack. And then I went into, the bench work, which is like you're in a factory, was
Yeah.
decent enough, but eventually after a few months, maybe a year into the working world, you start realizing it's not all what it's made out to be. Yeah, you're getting a wage at the end of the week, but it's there's a lot of responsibilities that come with that and a lot of fucking sacrifice too. Um, didn't want to stay there. I wasn't happy. I wasn't really being treated that well at work. And then I wanted to obviously get more money. So I went into engineering then, which is basically like just like factory fitting, which is like warehousing to an
Yeah.
extent. So pretty much just fitting machines, things like that. It was decent money for my age.
Yeah. Because like obviously a lot of guys that are watching this will be in the trades themselves. I know a lot of guys that speak to me, manual labor, construction, whatever. Like for you, so you said there you started an apprenticeship and then you went into the warehouse and kind of work. It's like a fitter. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. Because even like what was your intentions initially, even just going into that line of work? Because
Yeah.
obviously my perspective, I've spoken about it in my videos and stuff as well, is like kind of limited with choice, especially in the UK and Ireland. Well, I feel like anyways, it was just either university or construction. That was literally it for us. But what was that like for you?
Mate, it wasn't even like I had any intentions with it. Like my intentions were more so to like, oh shit, this is good money. Oh fuck, factory warehousing work full time, they're always going to give you good money at the start. They're like no matter what age you are, because it's the same work, you do get given pretty okay money, which is almost a thing that I sort of look at it as like a trap now. Because I was earning maybe £500 to £700 a week at, 18 years old. Most of the people my age were some were still in school, some were on apprenticeship wages. I felt like a fucking massive, like, I felt like it was a success, basically, pretty much.
Yeah,
And then I went into bartending as well. I started getting addicted to just making money. And mate, I was already doing like 50, 60 hour weeks in the engineering job for the overtime. And then I went into the bartending as well, doing like an extra 20. But there was no intention. It was just to make as much money as possible. I just started to like save up as much as I could, try and save as much as I could. And to be honest, looking back at it now, mate, there was no intention, and that was the problem. Like I just seen it was like, oh, I'm making good money now, and I think that that's why I actually left it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because how old are you?
19 now.
19, yeah, yeah. Because I think I was in a similar boat as well. Like when you leave school, you can land full-time work in construction and it's good money, isn't it? Good money when you leave school at like 16, 17, and essentially you feel like you're fucking balling. I know for me, I was just spunking it all on drink, just going out, chasing birds and that. And then I know for me, anyways, you get to like 19, 20 and you're like, fuck, got nothing to show for it, like. And then you start second guessing everything. And obviously, that age as well is when you kind of finish your apprenticeship and stuff as well. Um, so for yeah, obviously for you, when did you actually come across obviously the high ticket sales, the online sales space? Was that just if you
Yeah.
always kind of knew about it, or were you actively looking for
Yeah.
it?
I
Or
mean, online space, man. I always did know about it. Like, I tried crypto before in the past, and like, I lost a lot of money with it. I've actually fell into a fucking scam before. I got scammed with crypto, and it sort of just popped my whole fucking head off it. Always knew about Amazon FBA was something that I did always want to like look into. I liked the idea of it. It made sense and I could understand it. And I did want to, give it a go, but it was almost like what you're saying. You start making good money, you're spending it on drink, you're going out of the weekends, you're, short-term gratifications, like we would like to call it. You're not thinking about the bigger picture down the line. And the thing that ultimately made me like sort of wise the fuck up and make it, be like, I need to do something, I need to change was I remember just being at work one day and, there was all the grown ass men, like they were on the same money as me. That's what it is. Like they pay you the same as everyone else. Like no matter the age, nothing.
Yeah,
Um, they had mortgages, they had kids, and yeah, I was making good money for my age, but I knew that if I was making that money in their position, I would have fuck all left over. I had no expenses, I had nothing, so it was all decent, for me now, but I knew it was going to be a problem in the future. And then even with that, sometimes I'd make 8 to 900, I was able to save a lot. But for me, it sort of came to a realization point where it was like, it's not sustainable. I'm never going to be doing 70, 80 hours a week if I have a family in the future. It's never going to be sustainable. So something needs to change. And it was almost that, constantly just seeing people online, seeing other, I was always skeptical, don't get me wrong. Like I'd always seen the fucking, the cliche success stories, right?
yeah,
But it was sort of just seeing it and just thinking, what the fuck do I have to lose? Like, realistically, I give it a go. It works. I'm young. Who gives a fuck? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm going to spend that money probably on drink and alcohol anyways at the weekends. So, like, I do not give a fuck.
yeah,
And pretty much, man, it was just why was I sacrificing even working part-time bartending jobs in cash? Why was I even doing overtime? Why would I not put that time and effort into myself, into something that's going to pay off for me a whole lot more in the future, as opposed to just getting paid, 12, 13, 14 pound an hour? Like, where the fuck's that going to get me in life? So that's what sort of made me take online space a little bit more seriously. And then obviously I looked into Amazon FBA and things like that. But you need a lot of fucking startup capital with Amazon FBA, mate. So it
right.
was
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that I
yeah.
didn't really know.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you came across a few things online before. And yeah, I think a lot of people come to that realization as well. It's like the money just does not change. Or if it does, it's not much in construction or whatnot. Even when you even get qualified, like I see like fourth year apprentices literally like a couple pound an hour less than fully qualified. And then you're not going to get promoted until was like 4 years time after that. Um, so yeah, for you obviously coming into this, seeing all them different options and stuff, did you have any like fears or any skepticism or anything that kind of was like red flags for you when you started coming into
For
this? Because I
sure.
know a lot of people watching this are going to be like, fuck, I don't know where to
Yeah.
start. I get a bunch of guys going, I'm
Yeah.
fucking bouncing all these plates. I don't know where to fucking go. So what was your thought process on everything?
Yeah, like to be honest, like all like in hindsight, bro, everyone's gonna be skeptical. Like I was, of course, I was on the edge. Like I had fucking got scammed before in the past. Like I had to put my money into something that was a complete fucking fraud. So, but that was with the crypto, like years prior, whenever I was in school, like I was making money, I just fired like as much as I could into it. So I was always gonna be on edge, very skeptical, didn't know if I could trust a whole lot of things, and it was more so. I remember whenever I seen Amazon FBA, I'd seen a British guy doing well with it, and that pretty much came from construction. That was my sort of first hindsight to be like, whoa, what the fuck? You actually can make a difference. You just need to put time and effort into something. And that's whenever I looked into it a wee bit further, had a conversation with a few guys about Amazon FBA, and it's almost not that they had any wrong intentions, but it's almost like that thing where it's like, everyone's like, oh, don't do that. You're never going to be good at it. It'd never work out. And then I
Yeah,
sort of put the Amazon FBA off for a while. And then obviously I came across remote sales, and I wasn't overly that skeptical about it, to be fair. I wasn't skeptical. Like it completely made sense to me because, I've got parents as well that literally pretty like that I live with that do that anyways. They
yeah,
do sales calls online from home.
yeah,
So it wasn't something that was essentially like fucking you know the unknown as such.
yeah, yeah. No, it's not too foreign to you. Like even with like even with the crypto and stuff, like so because I get people in my DMs saying that they've had bad experiences, they've been stung in the past before, and they do get pretty disheartened about it, and they kind of cancel out all options. Like, walk us through like what happened to you there, because yeah, obviously saying that happened way back, but what kind of happened there?
Right. Yeah. So like the crypto was basically like this like massive like it's all shut down now, but it was like this. It was something like so many people were roped into it, and it was like I think it was like 1.6 billion or some shit was stolen. You basically
Oh,
pump your money into it. It shows that you're making money, and once you go to exit it and take your money out, it never works. So it was just yeah, the guy was fucking. I looked into it. The guy was basically robbed off in Thailand. So um.
right.
Yeah, but it did. Look, it was disheartening. Don't get me wrong, but if there's one thing that I've noticed, man, is it's like everyone is going to be disheartened if that ever happens to them, but it's almost like this repeated loop. Like I found myself in this loophole where I was like, wasn't happy with where I was at, wanted more for myself. Like everybody does. Everyone wants more for themselves. Everyone wants the goals. Everyone wants the ambitions. They want to be successful as such. And I was not happy with my current situation. And then I would try look into crypto, would try look into Amazon FBA. And then I would, that fear of like, fear of the unknown. What if it doesn't work out? Didn't work out the last time. What if it doesn't work? And it just puts you back. You stop looking into it and you go back to what your normal comfortable life is. And that's what I was doing. I was going constantly back into my comfortable life. What I knew would work for me. Just, stay in the corporate job, try and climb the ranks, get a wee bit more
Yeah.
money, things like that. But it was that little bit of like constantly looping that was keeping me stuck. So it was that fear of like, what if shit didn't work out? What if, the wrong things did happen again? Because I was disheartened from the past. If I just kept letting that be a problem, like nothing was gonna fucking change regardless. Like, so I was still gonna be in engineering, I was still gonna be in construction or wherever the fuck I would have went to. So it's like
Yeah.
if I didn't fix that issue, no, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, 100%. And like I was saying, I think a lot of people just write everything off, paint everything under the same brush, like with when they have a little bit of a bad experience, and it kind of ruins it for the genuine stuff out there as well. So when you first got up and going, obviously we're in the same community, same academy, what was your kind of journey with everything from joining and then to where you are now? Because I get a ton of guys in my DM saying, how fast is it going to take me? This and that. And I know it's different for everyone, but obviously for you as a 19-year-old, zero sales experience before, what was your kind of journey like with everything?
It takes like my journey was pretty fucking good, man. If I'm being honest, it was good. Like there's nothing I can really complain about. I get that all the time as well, man. People wanting to know like how long does it take? 6 months, 9 months, fucking 12 months. Who gives a fuck realistically? If it takes however long it takes. For me, I did like I remember coming in and I remember laughing at first, but I wrote all my goals out at the very beginning. Basically, like I want to land a role. What was it? I think I wanted to land a role 3 to 4 weeks in, and then it was 6 to 7 weeks. I wanted to make my first bit of online money. And then in my third month is whenever I wanted to replace my income. And I remember ticking that off and having dates and deadlines for it. And I never really believed in like manifestation. And I still don't. I think it's just limiting your self-belief. But mate, I remember actually every single one of those. I landed a role 9 days in. So I hit that prior. And then I pretty much, yeah, every single thing else, quit my job, third month in, made my first sale 6 to 7 weeks in. So everything that I wrote down in that goal literally happened in that piece of paper. I still have it there, but it was more so just like the vision. You do have to make sacrifices. Like a lot of people think that you can just come in, put 20 minutes a day into something and reap the rewards from it. And whenever they're not in the position that they want to be in, they start to blame external things. Oh, well, I'm not the problem. This is the problem. This. Oh, I don't have time. And it's like, mate, nobody has fucking time. I was working 2 jobs. I was getting 4 hours of sleep, but I knew that if I wanted to get there within the time frame that I set myself, which was 3 months, I was going to have to sacrifice gym. I was going to have to sacrifice going out with my mates. I was going to have to sacrifice a whole lot. You don't
Yeah.
have to do that, but if you want to get there sooner, you're going to have to make those sacrifices.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when you first joined the community and I'd seen you with your little, what was it, like your luminous
The big,
headphones
the
that you
big
had.
headphones.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, who's this little kid like? You've actually like, I'm not no offense, like, but you've aged. I don't know if that's the sales, the stress or
Fuck.
not, but it's like, um, yeah. So obviously for you, you smashed all your goals in a short period of time. Like, so what would you say the contributing factors were for that? Because I know a lot of people try and steer off, try and do everything themselves. Like, you seem like you got help pretty quickly with the
Yeah.
sales side of things. Like, what were the things that got you up and going, do you think?
The thing for me, mate, was like you need it. Like I had this big massive ego. Like whenever before I was looking into this, I was trying to do everything on my own. Like I was just like, oh, reading books. Oh, I don't need fucking training. What the fuck? I work in a bar. I can talk to people. I talk to people all the
Yeah,
time. And that's genuinely what I thought. I thought I was like this fucking top G sales guy. I thought it was easy. I'm pretty much, man. It was like, doing it for months. I had like a little bit of foundation, but it wasn't ultimately getting me anywhere. So whenever I obviously, got into the coaching, I pretty much, man, I made that shit a 1-to-1. Like I made sure that I was getting the most amount of it. I was like, look, I am putting my time, my effort, my money, my energy into this. I am going to make it fucking worth my while. So, basically just what I would do is I'd come home and I'd set my schedule out. So I would basically take down all the information that I was learning, in the like, just the modules, was looking in, writing notes, understanding it, and then I would practice it at 8 p.m. I would practice it with boys, that were more advanced than me. And they were helping, the community was helping me get better. I was helping some of the new guys get better. And it was really just like everyone was sort of helping each other. So it was just being consistent and doing that every single night. Every single night practicing and then actually learning how to do it. And then whenever I was on the coaching calls, like I made that shit a 1-to-1. Like a lot of people are, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
like very afraid to like put their name out there in case like they get something wrong. Whereas I was like, it was actually one of the guys in the community that came to me and just said, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're nervous. Like, do you want this to work? Who gives a fuck? You don't know these people. Just fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Um, and it was whenever I done that, that's whenever everything changed for me, man. So just being a sponge and just dropping your ego and just listening to everything that you're being taught from somebody who already knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So from obviously trying everything yourself on YouTube, what would you say like the difference was like compared to your progress with YouTube compared to like the proper guidance? Obviously, like you were saying there, you were practicing and stuff. Like, what was the difference, do you think?
YouTube, don't get me wrong, mate, you will get some information out there. You will get some information, but it comes back to that saying where, I even with if I look back to Amazon FBA and e-commerce and dropshipping and all that bullshit, man, anytime I looked into it with YouTube, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch a YouTube video. You watch a video and it tells you how it works, but it doesn't actually show you how to do it, how to run paid
The
ads,
implementation, yeah.
what is the implementation behind everything. And it's the same with sales. It's like it's easy to understand the concept of high ticket closing or high ticket appointment setting. It's easy to understand that. But to learn it is a completely different thing. It's one thing learning the basic information around it, actually getting the shit that you need, not just scattered all over the place, searching hours on end for videos, and then
Yeah.
actually where are you going to implement it, how are you going to practice it, you know.
Yeah.
So I was more so actually knowing where I was going fucking wrong as well, because the last thing I wanted to do was just, I was already working two jobs. I was sacrificing my time. I didn't want to go fucking that direction and it be the wrong direction the entire time
Yeah.
thinking I
100%.
knew what I was doing, but I wasn't. So the biggest difference was YouTube was just all over the place. Whereas whenever I actually got like coaching, mate, it was just like do this, do this, do this, do this, and just fucking listen and stop fucking thinking you know everything. And it worked.
Definitely. I think I had a similar story as well, and I get a ton of guys reaching out to me as well, where a lot of the information's out there on YouTube already, but it's just so overwhelming. You need it laid out like a clear blueprint, don't you? To essentially get there in the fastest time possible or whatnot. So for you, obviously we've met in person and stuff as well. Like even the training aside, obviously the coaching or whatnot, practicing. What else would you say has helped you? Obviously, with the community side of things, with obviously the same community that we're in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I honestly, like, to be honest with you, mate, I think it's more so just having, like-minded boys around you. Like, I'm a big believer now that you are a product of your environment.
Yeah,
You're the biggest, you're gonna always end up being what your environment is. Obviously we know the saying, you hang around four smokers, you're gonna become the fifth one, right?
yeah,
But during the time of like even though I had my goals 3 months in, mate, and I wanted it badly, 1 week in I was still thinking, fuck, maybe I should give up. 3 weeks
yeah,
in, oh fuck, maybe I should give up. And every time that I would say something like that, somebody would just tell me you're a fucking stupid cunt.
yeah, yeah,
They would just
100%.
say it how it fucking was. And it was just having the boys to just lift me up and say, look, mate, you're not actually that far off. You're only starting, you're new, you're making so much progress. Just keep motivated and it'll work out. And if I didn't have those boys around me to just keep me accountable and say, look, it's not overly that bad, because I always overwhelm myself with everything. I overwhelm myself. So if I didn't have
Yeah,
boys to just sit me down and just say, look, it's not that bad, do this instead, I wouldn't have even fucking got close to where I'm at. Never
yeah,
would have made it.
100%. Like even I feel like you don't realize how much you bullshit yourself until you meet people that are ahead of you. Like obviously in the community and stuff, like the mentors and whatnot. Even like you saying the boys together and stuff. We all just call each other out on each other's bullshit. You're actually constantly lying to yourself a lot of the time. When you're surrounded by the same people all the time. Like we've just met in Ireland. Even my close mates now are just people within the community. Obviously, I have
Yeah.
mates and stuff in the UK, but it's like the people I speak to every single day are just the people in the community. Um, so obviously for you, let's say you're speaking to someone completely brand new to the space. Maybe they've been burnt in the past, similar story to you. Um, what would your advice to them be, do you think?
I think it's like it even just comes down to like shit that I've learned. Like yeah, you've been burned before in the past, so have I. But at the end of the day, the fact that you still look into other things, you looked into before because you obviously wanted more for yourself, and you're stuck where you're at right now, just like I was. And obviously, every time you do go to look into something, that fear of it, like, oh, I was burnt before, what if it doesn't work out? The fear of it not working out, the fear of it not burning out, there's only one way to fucking solve that, and that's actually just fucking doing it.
Mm.
So it's like you waste more time by just thinking, oh, fuck yeah, is this the right business model? Am I going to be good at it? Is it the right one for me? Is it going to work out? And it's like you don't even know the answers to that yourself until you just actually be successful with it. So if you want it bad enough, just fucking do it. Like just actually just fucking say, look, I'm going to give this my all. If it doesn't work out, I'm in the same position I was in. And I get that all the time where even my mates said to me, what if it doesn't work out? What if you aren't successful? Why would you give that a go? What if it doesn't work out? And the way I sort of see things is pretty much just like what you're afraid of. Like I was afraid of it not working out. I'm going to use that as motivation to get me to where I want to get to.
Yeah.
So if I let that fear prevent me from actually making an actionable step towards where I want to get to, that fear of it not working out is still going to happen anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just canceling out the whole thing as it is. But like, I completely understand why people can have that fear and they are skeptical and stuff. But if you let that overtake you, then no matter what, your biggest fear is going to happen. It's never going to work out. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like you're saying there. So, but look, Ryan, appreciate you hopping on. And yeah, that's everything essentially.